In this video, I'm going to show the basics of drawing. It will use the line tool here very heavily. So this lives on the large toolset palette on the left of the screen. So again, if you haven't got this palette, it's under the View menu, under Tool Palettes, and you make sure that the tick is next to Large Toolset. Now, before I begin, I'm going to explain the axes. The blue axis should be considered the floor to the ceiling direction. The red axis is effectively the left-right direction on a desk, and the green axis, this one here, is on your desk going away from you and towards yourself. So in most 3D programs, this is what's called the X, the Y and the Z coordinates. The colours that most CAD programs use are pretty universal. So you've got X in red, Y in green, and Z in blue. And Z is always the up-down. But to simplify things in SketchUp, they just go by a colour. Now, a negative direction, such as negative Z, is indicated by a dotted blue line. So if I can see this going up the screen and then a solid below, like this, so I'm just orbiting around, so that's using my middle mouse button. Because that dotted line is going up the screen and the solid is below, I know I'm upside down, and it helps because I can see the man here upside down. So I'm just going to move myself the correct way around, and again, I'm just holding down that middle mouse button and dragging until it's the right way up. So a solid line is a positive direction, and a dotted line is a negative one. Now, I'm going to go for the black arrow. This is the selection tool. Okay, you click on the man once and you'll notice a border appears around the edge of him. So I don't want the man in this scene because he'll get in the way. So with him selected, I'm going to hit backspace on the keyboard. That's the one immediately above the enter key. So I've clicked that and now the man has gone. So now the stage is clear. Now, I'm going to do some basic drawing now. So on the left, you've got the line tool. I sometimes call it the pencil tool, but if I click it, it's indicated by a red pencil. Now, I can click anywhere, but for the first line in a drawing, I always like to start in the centre of the universe. Then, when you bring it into other programs later on, it appears where you expect it to appear. So, where all these axes converge, there's a little dot. That's called the origin. So the origin is the 0, 0, 0 coordinate in the universe. So I'm going to click that with the pencil tool. And now when I move the mouse away, I've got this line here. And you'll see it'll expand, it'll shrink. And if you put it on a line like the red axis, it'll say on red axis on the little tooltip that appears next to the mouse. So if I go on the green, it'll say on green axis. So that's going away from me on the desk. If I go down the dotted green, that's coming towards me on the desk. Now, if I point it up in the blue, that's going straight up, straight to the ceiling. Okay? Now, when I draw, I always start on the origin like I just said, and I'll point it down one of the three axes. So in this case, I'm going to draw a simple cube. So I'm pointing it down the red axis. Now, in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you should see the option that says length. At the moment, because I'm in millimetres, mine is saying 3,470 millimetres, which is just under 3.5 metres. So, I want the cube to be 1 metre cubed. I'm going to start by drawing the base. So, I'm on the red axis. Now, you never ever click in the window in the bottom right corner where the length is. If you start typing, it'll understand what you're trying to do, and then when you hit return, it'll confirm it. So 1 metre is 1,000 millimetres. So I'm going to type 100, 0, so that's 3 zeros. That's 1,000, that's 1,000 millimetres, or 1 metre. So I've pointed it down the red, and a tip here is always let go of your mouse. So at the moment I'm not touching the mouse at all. I've typed my number in, and when I'm happy, I hit return. And the little black line that's appeared here is the line that you've drawn at 1 metre. Now I'm going to point it down the green axis in that kind of parallel to this line here. So I'm putting it there, and now I know I'm right if the word on green axis appears next to the mouse and the line itself turns green. So again, the tool is on, I haven't quit it. The length is random, it's 2.3 meters at the moment if you look in the bottom right corner. I want it 1 meter, so I'm going to type 1, 0, 0, 0, so that's 3 zeros. Then I hit return. That'll draw me the second line. Now I want to return along the red axis, so I'm going to put it over here. And now the line is red and it's saying on red axis on the mouse. And again, I'm always letting go of the mouse once I've pointed it. The moment you move the mouse, the number will change, the value will change, and then you'll get an odd length. So I'm pointed in the right direction. I'm going to type 1000 again, so 1, 0, 0, 0, so that's 3 zeros, remember. I hit return. Now, there's two options here to close out the shape to give me the fourth edge. I can point it down green, I can type 1000 and hit return, or if you want to be a bit lazy, you can just click once on the origin, which will now be called an endpoint because there's a line there. So that's the easy way. So I'm going to click it, and it should fill in like that. Now I'm putting my mouse in the middle of the shape I've made. I'll roll the wheel, that will zoom me in. Now if I hold down the shift key with my middle mouse button, the hand will appear. I can centre it in my screen, and I'm giving myself space above the shape. So I want to draw the vertical lines on this cube. So I need this area above it clear so that I can get to it. So again, I'm on the line tool. I put it on a corner, and you should see an endpoint marker. I click it. I move it up in the blue axis, so you see the line is blue and it's saying on blue axis. I've let go of my mouse completely. Remember that resets the number if you're holding it. I type 1000 again, 1, 0, 0, 0, 3 zeros. I hit return. Now, I want to quit the line tool now, so I'm going to hit escape once on the keyboard. That's in the top left hand side of your keyboard. It's normally the top leftmost key. So you hit escape once, that will quit the tool. You'll see on the left, the tool is still active, but it's not connected to anything. So I'll go on the next corner. I point it up the blue axis. The line is blue. The length is random. I've let go of the mouse. I type 1000. I hit return. I then hit escape again. So I'm going to repeat that with the next two corners. So I'm going to go on that one, up in the blue, 1000, return, escape. And then on the final corner, I click it, it's blue, 1000, return, escape. So now I've got a square and I've got 4 vertical lines that are coming off it. There is an easier way of drawing this, but I want to get the basics across to you, so I'm doing it the hard way deliberately. Now, this is the joining the dots part. So I need the line tool again, so you see it's already on, it's grey. I click on that end point there, it can be any of the endpoints, and I join it to the next one. And if you've done it right, look, the face will fill in. So I'm going to join that one to that one, then that one to that one, and then that one to that one. So now that's a 1 meter cube. That's drawn accurately. Okay, now we've done that. If I hold down the orbit button on my mouse, that's the middle mouse button, remember, you click it like a button, you'll see the red and green icon, you drag it gently, you should then be able to look around your cube, and if it's worked, you should see all 6 faces of the cube should be in white. There's shading on it, so some of them may go grey like this, and varying shades of grey, that depends on where the sun is. So this is kind of the front face, that's where the sun's hitting it most, therefore it's illuminated the best. Whereas that's kind of in the shade, so it's dulled down. Now, the next thing you might need to do is measure the cube. So you might forget how long one of your lines is, so you've got to be able to select it. So that's the black arrow. I click on a line, it will go blue. Okay, now if I go up to the window menu and I look for entity info, so that's window, entity info, this will give you this palette here. So this is telling me that the layer of that selected line, which is blue, remember, is layer 0, so that's what it's been drawn on. The length of the line is 1000 millimeters, so that's how long the line is. Now if you click a face, any face will do, it again tells you the layer it's on, and it will tell you the area of the face in square millimeters. You might one day need to specify something, so that's extremely useful. So if you're ordering carpet, for instance, or slabs, you'll need to know the square meterage. So you can do a simple conversion, because notice at the moment, look, it's in millimeters squared. So I believe you would shift the decimal place about 3 to the left to get an area in square meters. So that would be 1 square meter if I move the decimal 3 to the left. Now there's a little trick with selections. If I single click, it'll select one element, so I've clicked one line. But if I double click on a face, it'll select the face and the bounding lines. And it tells me, look, I've got 5 entities selected. So I've got 4 bounding lines, so 4 edges, and 1 face. Okay. Now if I deselect by clicking anywhere outside, I can triple click, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that kind of selects just the face. Now if I go 1, 2, 3 quickly like that, that'll select everything selected to the face. So I'll do that again. So I'm deselecting by clicking anywhere outside, and I'm doing a rapid triple click on the face here. So this is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you have to be quick with that. So that will select everything attached to that shape. So if I look around the other side, look, you see everything is selected. Now if I deselect again, so I'm going to click out here, there's a selection, there's a technique for selecting faces using the drag tool. So nothing is selected, I'm on the black arrow from the large tool set, I'm outside the shape, I'm to the right of it. Okay, so I'm going to click and hold the left button, and I'll get this dash selection line. Now notice what's fully in the selection. That right hand vertical line of the cube is fully in the selection. Everything else is partly in it. So when I let go, everything that dashed line touches will then be selected. So anything it touches when you go right to left will be selected. So that doesn't discriminate. Whereas if I do the same but go left to right, so I'm starting on the left here and dragging, anything that's fully in the selection, when I let go, is now selected. That's probably a bad example because it was blue against a blue line. So I'm going to drag up here and get that top corner line in it, and then I'm going to let go, and you see that's selected. So right to left doing a drag selection will select anything it touches, whereas left to right will get things that are fully in the selection. So in this case, 2 edges were fully in it, so that's all that's selected. So if I want the top edge, I can drag left to right like that, and all the parts for the top edge are selected. Okay, so that is basic selection and how to measure a line. Now there's one more way of measuring a line that you might want to use one day, and that's on the left here. So on the tool palette, you've got an option called dimension. You click the first point you want to measure, you click the second point you want to measure, and then you move off to the side and click again, and it'll drop a number down. And when you orbit using the middle mouse button, you can then move around the scene. So that is the dimension tool, and that is this one here with the little number 3 on it. Okay, and that's on your large toolset palette on the left of the screen. So generally when I'm drawing, I always have the Entity Info palette up, which is under Window, Entity Info. And I always draw with the large toolset on, which is under View, Tool Palettes, Large Toolset.